Man, I love this idea. I think this is great.
The idea of what?
Of them making sure the next 2 years they put the best possible team together to make a championship run. I believe next year there'll be a top 14 with the Lakers, the Clippers.
Wow.
Lakers, Clippers, and I'll have to put Houston. I'll put Houston.
Oh, you're talking about
in the West. In the
I
West.
got you. My bad.
So they'll have a legitimate chance in the Western Conference to make a legitimate run deep into the playoffs. The problem with Golden State is that who are they going to find to go alongside those guys? They did a terrific job in their run. And I'm talking about the Andre Iguodala's, the David West, the Sean Livingstons, the Ian Clarks, Verja. Think about that championship team. They put great pieces around them. They're young now. How many veterans? How much money are you willing to spend? I don't know if the same veteran guys are willing to sign in Golden State like it was back in the day. You remember veterans was just kind of running over to Golden State to play with those guys. But I like this approach. Steph has 2 years left on his contract after this year, and he's in his prime right now. We'll see. I think Steph will come back and play in the Olympics. I don't know if he'll play again during the season right now. It may not be worth it, but he'll probably play in the Olympics, get back to playing basketball. Clay and obviously Draymond is going to have to get back to the level that he was at. He's taking a couple steps back.
Is that possible, Antoine?
I think it's possible because I think he plays better with better talent. Because if you're asking him right now, is to score the basketball and do things that he hadn't had to do in the past. It's really hard for him. But if he's able to get back to being the great defensive player that he was, a guy that can get open shots for other guys, be kind of a triple-double type of player, he'll be fine. And I do like the guy. We argued yesterday, and I think they started in the right direction with Andrew Wiggins, adding him to the equation with Jordan Poole. So they got some young guys on the team. So I think this is a great idea, and they're right in the mix next year.
Okay. So here's the deal. Let's start with Draymond. I've talked enough about Wiggins. Maybe I'll sprinkle a little of that in. Let's start with Draymond. Draymond had a lot of talent around him last year. He was 7-7-7 on 44% shooting and 28% from three. This year, doesn't have talent. I understand it. Steph broke his hand, and it's one of the world's worst hand injuries, so I pray for him. This year, Draymond has 8-6-6 on 38% shooting and once again 28% from three. Draymond was never a guy that relied tremendously on his athleticism, right? It's his brain. Right. He's one of the 3 smartest players in the league. But at 30, the athleticism has waned just a bit, which has severely hurt his defensive impact. Because when you're not the greatest athlete to begin with, and you're relying on your brain to make sure you can beat guys to spots, if you're just a quarter step slower than you used to be, that impact is muted. And we've seen that the last few years. He went from what I thought was he has one. I thought he should have 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He went from the best defender in basketball for a long stretch to a good, at times great defensive player, but nowhere close to Defensive Player of the Year. He's on a contract that's going to pay him $25+ million moving forward. I don't know how movable that contract is. Steph Curry, the next time we see him take the court, whether it's in March or next season, is going to be 32 years old. 32 years old for Steph Curry, coming off an arduous 5-year stretch where he played in 5 straight finals. Now he's getting some rest this year. Klay Thompson, 30 years old, coming off the first and only significant injury of his career. And then you've got Andrew Wiggins, who the argument for him is, well, can he at least be Harrison Barnes? Let's pretend for a moment he can. Now we're back to the 14-15 Warriors, except Steph is 5 years older. Draymond is no longer one of the top 15 players in the league the way he was on both ends of the court at that time. When he was 14, 10, and 7 on 39% from three. Now he's 8-6-6 on 38% from the field. I just don't see it. And they don't have the ability to go get the Andre Iguodala. They don't. Now, people can say they're going to have their own draft pick. Man, whatever 19-year-old they draft in the top 5 this year is not going to help them next season. So I don't see it. It's why, Antoine, this is not the move I would have made with D'Angelo. I would have traded D'Angelo plus my pick for an impact player instead of D'Angelo for a lesser player and another draft pick that's going to help you down the road when Steph is further out of his prime. I just don't see it for Golden State.
I just think it's in sports, I hate to see this. teams give up on guys. Look at the Detroit Pistons when they gave up on their core. You look at the Bulls back in the 90s, they give up on their core. I just think Steph and Clay and Draymond have more left in the tank. I think having a year off, even though it's due to injury, their bodies can be refreshed. These are guys that have played a lot of games, like you said, over the last 5 years. I think you get them a shot. I think you owe that to them. They've done enough for this franchise, brought you championships. Obviously, they paid all those guys, took care of them financially, which I love. They deserved every penny they got. They did it right by them. And I think the owner said, look, I'm going to give you guys 2 years, kind of put it on Steph's contract and see what we can do in 2 years. And once we're done, we're going to start this thing over. So I like that because so many organizations blow the teams up. Oh, they're old. They're 30. That's not old. You know what I mean? You still got some good years left. So I like the fact that they're willing to gamble on those guys.
I actually love that, too. When I didn't know Steph was going to miss the season with his hand, I picked the Warriors to make the playoffs this year as the 6th seed, with Clay potentially coming back at the end of the year and have them be a dangerous team. The reason I have been so adamant about the Wiggins trade is I think they are trying to quietly have it both ways. Because you're talking about giving up on it or planning for the future. When Kyrie demanded the trade, LeBron said don't trade him, right? But then, no, we are trading him. They tried to have it both ways. Oh, we'll do a trade where we get Isaiah Thomas, a lesser player, pieces, but also this future draft pick. And this future valuable draft pick is going to be what salvages that trade. That draft pick ended up being Colin Sexton, the 8th overall pick. He never played a game with LeBron, and that was a terrible trade. Instead of saying, we've got Kyrie, can we trade him for Paul George? Can we trade him for a guy right now that can help us? If you know you're moving D'Angelo Russell and you have this asset of whatever your pick this year is, you don't trade D'Angelo Russell for a lesser player on the same contract and a future draft pick. You trade away your draft pick with D'Angelo Russell to get the best possible return. You see, I don't know if Bradley Beal fits or would be the right guy. If Ben Simmons is available, I don't know if D'Angelo Russell and the #1 overall pick get you Ben Simmons. But the Warriors can say all they want. They know they acquired the inferior player in this trade. That's why they got the draft pick with it. And I do not care about a 2021 top 3 protected draft pick when if I'm really trying to win championships with a 32, 33, 34-year-old Steph Curry.
It'll be interesting to see. But I mean, I think I have a little bit more. I give Wiggins a little bit more value than you give him. And obviously, you can argue that point every day. But I think one thing with Golden State, I'm just ecstatic to see that the ownership is saying, hey, look, I'm going to stay with my core guys. We're going to see if we can win, get back in the mix. I still believe they're a top 4 team in the West when healthy. I think they're better than Denver. I think they're better than Utah. I just feel like if they're healthy, they're going to have a chance to get in the mix and maybe get to the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if they'll ever get back to the championship level where they're playing in the finals, but I do believe they still have the ability to make a deep run.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.